Hello and welcome to another exclusive Talk Norwich City podcast. I am delighted today, really excited actually. I've wanted this one for a while, to be joined by former Norwich City midfield youngster, under 18s and 23s captain, 12 years in the City Academy. It's only Alfie Payne. Alfie, how are you doing?
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm fine. Thank you for asking. How's life treating you?
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Obviously, it's not the best of times for anyone right now with the current state of the world, but we're doing all right. We're doing all right.
We are doing.
I'm sure there's a lot of people are wondering who that was this, but hopefully they can listen to my story and it'll be all right.
Oh, that intro! Seriously, Alfie, I'm really genuinely interested to get as much insight from you today, because I think people will find it really interesting. Getting under the bonnet of the Norwich City Academy, seeing all of the mechanics, how it works, and really dive deep into that. But Alfie, to kick things off, let's take you right back to the beginning. And I doubt it you'll even remember this. I'll be impressed if you do. When was the first time you walked through the Colney gates, and how did that feel?
Yeah, well, it's funny you should say, do you remember it or not? Because I actually there's a bit of a story about the first time I ever went, so I do actually remember it, to be fair.
Right.
So when you first start at a young age, I don't know how it is right now, but for me, when I was 6, 7 years old or whatever, there's we used to do these things once a month. We used to do these things called games nights, right, where they'd get 30 local boys or whatever, 6, 7 year olds, and go in and just play matches, just a bit of fun, really. So I remember getting the letter, or my parents obviously opened the letter and then rang me because I was not home, that I'd been invited to this first games night or whatever. So obviously quite excited, but the first games night typically fell when I was in Manchester seeing some family friends. So if I was the parent, I'd be like, yeah, you can just go a different week, don't worry about that. But knowing my parents and how much they give up for me or whatever, my dad drove me home for it. So
Nice.
So he actually drove me home for my first ever games night or whatever, all the way from Manchester. So it was quite a commute for a little few five-a-side matches, but I guess you could say it was probably worth it in the end.
What age were you, Alfie?
Young then. So I started that when I was probably 6 or 7. Yeah, it probably would have been the year when I turned 7, so I would have been 6 when I first went there.
And who had the conversation? I assume it was with your parents rather than yourself. Who actually said, "Oh, this kid's got something here"? Did it work like that? How did it work?
No, it's not like that. At first, it's just a bit of fun really for the local lads to get in, and we just played matches. Obviously, Colin Watts, I'm sure a lot of Norwich fans know, was taking the sessions along with a few others, and it was just a bit of fun. We did it once a month. Had a kick. It's basically just a kickabout little five-a-side tournament with the local boys who are obviously good at football as well. So it was so it's a good standard or whatnot. So I did that for a year, the under sort of 7 age, and then for the under 8s age, they sort of started getting a bit more regular. We did once a week. We just did training, and then under 9s it starts the academy properly, which is obviously then when I started training properly with Norwich and under 9s.
So really, you snuck into the Colney pearly gates, didn't you? You kind of snuck in there on a casual basis, and then it
exactly. They built it up, so it was never too much of a shock to the system, I guess. So when you're young, obviously, if you go from nothing to all of it all at one time, then it might be a bit of might be nervous or whatever. Because I was just going gradually, went from a bit of fun to then more serious. Well, not really serious, but leveled up a little bit. I guess it just could feel it coming, sort of thing.
And you're a Norwich boy as well, Alfie, right? So, and I've read online that you were, I'm not sure if you still are, a season ticket holder. Is that right?
Yeah. So I do actually still have a season ticket. That's not really mine anymore. It's my family's. We have two tickets between us. Obviously, Pardon?
Where'd you sit?
Barclay.
Lower or upper?
Upper, unfortunately.
Not
a proper Barclay boy. But no, yeah, I've got a ticket there. Obviously, I can't go anymore because I play matches on a Saturday and stuff. But I got to a few games last year, like Man United and Leicester, when they weren't on the Saturday.
Yeah, and so. And then I guess you would have gone for quite a few years. What was your favourite game as a season ticket holder when you've actually gone? Pick one, only one. Just give me one.
One game. Playoff semi-final, Ipswich.
Oh, of course, that was just
no, yeah, that was something else, wasn't it? That was.
I was actually also a season ticket holder in the Upper Barclay for many years, 12 years before I went down into the riffraff with Jack. And I remember being like, oh, I really want to climb down from the upper and go on the pitch with everyone else. I just love it.
I know what you mean though. Yeah, we no, that was definitely the best one for me. But also, like, I know we didn't end up staying up, but I remember Newcastle at home towards the end of the season, which we did end up going down. But I thought when we won that game, we were going to stay up, which obviously, unfortunately, we didn't. But I remember that being a good one as well.
No, it was. Right, let's get into the meaty stuff now, then, Alfie.
Yeah.
You signed your first pro contract 2018. I can't imagine how special that must have been for you, considering that you are a Norwich fan. Like, I can't get my head around it. Like, I don't think I would be able to personally. I don't think I'd be able to cope. Like, it's something that I've always applauded Angus Gunn for. I don't know how he stood in between the sticks for Norwich. I know it's like first team level, but even just to get a pro contract, like, what did that feel like as such a young guy?
Yeah, obviously, like, you're over the moon, aren't you? Like, you've from the age of whatever 6 and 7 when I first started going to Norwich, that's what you work towards. You want to become a pro footballer. Obviously, it's a bit different when you're in the when you're there, because although a pro contract from the outside is a pro contract and that's like all you've ever worked for, you're still not quite there. Because for me, my goal was always, like, regardless of the contract, my goal was always to play for Norwich first team. So unfortunately, I got close, didn't quite get there. You never know what might happen in the future, but yeah. So obviously, over the moon and delighted when they've told you, because obviously at that point you're unsure where you're going to go, whether you're going to take the football route or whether you're going to have to go somewhere else and do something else. So when they told you, obviously relief, and you're over the moon, and like, it's a great feeling and whatnot, and obviously parents are proud and everything. But for me personally, it was just another stepping stone to hopefully getting towards the end goal, which obviously I can now look there and say not quite yet. But at that point, that's where you're still looking. I think there's no point getting carried away with a pro contract, because maybe to people outside of football that does sound like a massive achievement, which it is. It's a big achievement, but when you're inside it, you're just still looking to the next thing. You're always looking to the next, like, goal almost, which the pro contract was good, but you're then looking for the next pro contract or for the chance to get on the bench for the first team, and then so on, etc. So obviously, don't get me wrong, over the moon with it, but you're still, when you're in the environment, you're still looking for the next thing almost.
And you've kind of like perfectly teed up the next question, Alfie, because of course you got onto the bench for the first, and a lot of people will know you from that. A lot of people's eyebrows were raised. Who's this Alfie geezer? Of course, Sheffield Wednesday, 3rd November 2018.
That's the one. Day before my dad's birthday.
How was it? Oh, right.
Yeah. So it would have been a nice birthday present if I got on.
Oh, it's so annoying. No, so obviously we won that game 4-0, but there was obviously a bit of an injury crisis before the game, which meant that you were well and truly in the mix. Just talk me through that selection. Did Mr. Farker come up to you and say you're in, or how did it work?
So you're gonna think I'm making it up, but then there's another little story to this one as well. So as the 23s the schedule was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off or something like that. I can't remember now. And but basically I had a day off on the Wednesday of that week, so I'm like lying at home, obviously relaxing. Just had my breakfast, chilling out. It's probably like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I've got a phone call, and I'm thinking, oh no, like from a sports scientist, Jay Easter-Smith. I'm thinking, oh no, surely I've not like got the days wrong and I'm meant to be in training or something. I'm going to get slapped with a fine or something. I'm like, please no. So I sort of like gingerly pick it up. All right, Jay, how's it going? He's like, yeah, all good. He's like, the first thing we're training this afternoon, and like they want you to get involved. And then he was like, and there's a few injuries, so I think it'd be a good idea. And obviously, like, it didn't need to say that straight away. I was like, yeah, I'll be there. What time, sort of thing, straight away.
Already thrown your Weetabix out the window.
Yeah, exactly. Packing my bag to get in straight away or whatever. So then I went in straight away, got ready for training or not, then trained in the afternoon. And I think it was a day after a game, so there was like the people that didn't play 90 minutes of training, so like the people on the bench and stuff. So it was just me and them lot training. So trained on that day, like did well, trained well, whatever. And then obviously Chris said to me, or Chris and Glyn, I think it was, they said, oh yeah, we like said the first team schedule for the rest of the week. So I'm thinking, sort of like adding it up in my head, thinking, well, that sounds all right, getting involved for the rest of the week or whatever. So
wow.
So then trained the Thursday, Friday, I think, and then trained on the Friday morning. And like, as you can imagine, sort of like in my head doing the maths about who's fit and who's not and how many players they need and stuff. So I'm thinking, hang on a second, if it stays how it is, I could be in a chance here. So I trained again on the next 2 days, whatever, done well or whatever. And then Chris Domicilio said to me, make sure on the Thursday, he said, make sure you got your stuff for tomorrow because we're traveling overnight, like Friday night, to Sheffield. So I was like, yeah, no worries. Obviously getting a bit excited, coming home and telling my parents and traveling to Sheffield or whatever. So no, that was definitely a good feeling. And then when we trained the Friday, and then I stayed at Colney for the rest of the day, and then we travelled up in the evening. And I think because it was just me who trained with the first team at that point, and then Todd, I think it might have been Todd or one of the boys was like 50-50, and then it was a no in the end. So then we were kind of thinking, hang on, we're going to need another player here. And then Chris Domicilio came in the change room, and we were all sat in the 23s change room. And he goes, Timmy. So then everyone just looked at each other and was like, yeah, he's the other one. So then obviously Chris then told Timmy he's traveling as well, which almost made it nice. Like not that I needed it, but made it nice that I had someone experiencing the same thing as me. So so then me and Timmy got on the bus and travelled up the Friday evening and stayed over. And then it was only actually, like, obviously at that point you're thinking, oh, like we're on the bench, this should be good, but obviously you're never too sure. So then it was then the next morning in the team meeting where you walk in and you actually see your name like 40 Payne on the team sheet and the bench. That's when it kind of like kicks in that you're actually there, sort of thing. So now it's a surreal experience, to be fair. It's what I've dreamed of all my life, really. So
mate, I literally, like, you can see it in my face, I'm buzzing. Even though it was then, I'm still buzzing, right? So I've got a few questions for you. Got 3 questions off the back of that.
Yeah.
One, we've got this in joke at TNC that Chris Domicilio has got this tattoo of Norwich Cathedral on his arm, and he's just this absolute hard nut. What is Chris Domicilio like? Is he a good guy? Is he quite fierce?
Yeah. I think he is quite, like, obviously I've not spent loads of time with him. I've just had like little glimpses of him, and I think like the 23s players would tell you that he is quite does seem quite fierce. Obviously quite like. But I think as a sports scientist, you almost have to be as the head sports scientist, because you're the one telling everyone to do the gym programs, which some people don't want to do, and do the runs that some people don't want to do. So I think you have got to be a bit fierce. But no, whenever I've spoken to him, he's always been friendly. So I think it's not as bad as people think.
And then my next question off the back of that great process is, what is it like sitting on the first team coach? I know this sounds so ridiculous. You're just going to be like, well, it's just a bus ride, Chris. But like, what is it like being on the first team coach going to a game? Like, what sort of conversations are happening? Are people talking? Is it just music in? What's the sort of vibe?
I know what you mean. It's from outside, the whole thought of like getting a coach together is obviously not many people experience this sort of thing. So obviously when we're going on there, you're a bit like, obviously there's no names on seats, but everyone has their seat. Do you know what I mean? Like even at 23s level, like we all had our seats when we were going to games or whatnot. So you kind of like, you're walking on, you're thinking, oh, where am I going to sit? Because you don't want to sit in someone else's seat, because they're just going to come and be like, that's my seat, move, sort of thing.
Whose seat did you not want to sit on?
Whose seat did I not want to sit on? No, I wasn't thinking like that, in fairness. But anyway, so I got on the bus, and luckily, obviously, Ben, Max, or whatever, like me and Timmy, good mates with them. So there was no problems there. Ben just said, oh, these 2 seats are normally free, so sit on those 2. So me and Timmy went on a 2 with Ben Marshall and might have been Mo Leitner, to be fair. I can't remember exactly, but we just sat there. Just this once you're on there, it's once you're seated, then it's pretty standard. We just chatted, really. Like, obviously some people put headphones in, listen to music. Some people watch things on like documentaries or whatever, Netflix. But some people obviously chat, and we had a chat. Some of the stories you hear are quite funny, obviously. Just like, because obviously all of them, or not all of them, but like people like Ben Marshall, they've been in the game for so long, haven't they? They've got all sorts of stories. So quite entertaining, to be fair. It's quite wasn't a bad trip.
I get the impression it's kind of almost like the calm before the storm. So there's not necessarily lots of tactical conversations going on. It's more just chill out because we're about to kind of get into that sort of process. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah, definitely. So like on the Friday night when we were driving up to Sheffield, there's not really much mention of like actual like the game tomorrow sort of thing. It's just like everyone doing their own thing, just either, as I said, watching Netflix, listening to music, or just chatting about anything. Like obviously we're footballers, but we don't just talk about football 24/7.
Of course. And then my final point on that story, Alfie, is so that, did you call it the breakfast meeting or the tactics meeting? The morning of the
pre-match meeting. So like the meeting just for the match here.
Yeah. So the pre-match meeting. What's that like? Is that like, right, it's serious now? Is Daniel Farke out there with his whiteboard, like writing on stuff, or like what is that process? Do they call you out by one by one, like who's in the team, or how does it work?
No. So there's a meeting on the Friday, which I went into, which is obviously where they go into a lot of detail on the opposition, which was quite interesting to me, to be fair, because that's the first time I've been in a first team meeting as such. And obviously we do analysis on the opposition at 23s level, but like obviously it's a bit more, almost more details and more specific when doing that, because obviously there's a lot on the line. So went in that meeting. They're quite long meetings, to be fair. Gaffer videos of Sheffield Wednesday, and like in possession, out of possession, and all sorts, and then set pieces, and just gives like how Norwich are going to hurt Sheffield Wednesday, like how Norwich are going to play to beat Sheffield Wednesday. So that's obviously very interesting. So he went in that meeting on the Friday morning, so that's the day before, and then on the Saturday, it's like similar. Like he makes the points again, or whatever. When on the Saturday that I was there anyway, similarly makes like the similar points again, but it's just a bit more condensed, so a bit more quick through. Because obviously, just before the game, you don't want to be sat there for an hour watching your opposition.
Yeah.
So it's a bit quicker. And the gaffer just says like he said what the game meant. It was like obviously there was a chance to go top for us, wasn't it, that day, which we did go top. So he was just saying a bit about the game and what he expects and stuff like that. But for me, with the team and stuff like that, he basically has it on when I went in there, he had it on a whiteboard already. So as you walk in, you see the team. So obviously you're looking.
Everyone's looking. Am I in?
Yeah. It's just down like a whiteboard. So you look and see if you can see your name, and then obviously that's when I then spotted my name. And yeah, that was quite like, obviously then you get a little bit of nerves kicking. You think this is real. Do you know what I mean? We'll
get on to Mr. Farke in a minute, because I cannot wait to ask you, man. But before we go there, Alfie, I know you were a bench warmer on that day. No offense.
I had to hold my hands up.
but incredible experience. When you're on that bench watching the game, is there ever this element of, oh God, like I wish something could happen so I can come on, or are you like, because I can imagine as like a young guy, you're like, I really want my shot, I really need a bit of luck. But I can imagine someone potentially older is more like they've got their head around the team more, or I don't know, like where were you at in that game? Did you think that you were going to have a chance? Were you hoping it, or what was going through your head?
Well, yeah, obviously everyone wants to play football, so that would have been like a dream come true to come on or whatever. So I was like hoping, I didn't know whether it was going to happen, but I was hoping that I might get an opportunity. Obviously we were doing so well at the time as well. We were 4-0 up, so I think when it went 3-0 up, I think that's when I was thinking, oh, come on, please. I was like running up and down the line, warming up, making sure I looked ready. So obviously I was like hoping at that point. And I think Ben had mentioned, because Ben actually didn't start that game, if I remember correctly. Ben had mentioned, he said, he normally subs the midfielder on towards the end, so make sure you're ready. So I was thinking, oh my God, please, please. But obviously,
so what were you doing to do anything to like get Daniel's attention? Were you like like coughing and like doing over top stretches and?
Nah, obviously, like you just make sure you go. I think it's like every 12 minutes or whatever. You make sure you go and warm up. Just make sure you're ready if you're ever needed, sort of thing. So I was making sure I did that. So if he ever needed me, then I would be ready to come on. Obviously, unfortunately, I didn't get the opportunity, but that's how it goes sometimes, isn't it? And obviously the team won, so they were obviously like happy for the team at the same time. And yeah, it was a good experience all around.
Right, let's get onto the more meaty stuff now. Something that I'm going to ask you politely to answer. I am fascinated, and I mean seriously fascinated, with specifically what goes on at half time under a Daniel Farke team?
I've got bad news for you. Subs
Wow.
don't go in. Subs don't go in at half time.
Oh God, yeah.
So I can't. I've got no juicy information for you there.
Okay,
So.
no, that's fine. But okay, so let me change the question then. So pre-match and post-match, what is Daniel Farke's demeanor like? Like, is he quite a calm guy on match days? Is he quite sort of like, does he ever get irate, or is he always quite calm? Because I feel like in the media, he's like a very softly spoken German fellow. That's I'm sure a lovely bloke. But I do wonder, like, where is he at on a match day? What is his attitude like?
Yeah. So whenever the times that I was in there was obviously before the game, which he was like chilled out, relaxed, said like his bit, but it's the same as you would see him in an interview, really, like the same sort of tone, nothing too aggressive from what I saw. And then obviously I went in there at the end of the game when we'd just won 4-0 and gone top of the league. So I don't think he had anything to be angry about there either. But no, I'm pretty sure he can give like the hair dry or whatever, because I've heard I've heard a few stories of when he's not been too happy with the players, and he's let them know. But yeah.
Really? Okay, interesting.
But that's not first hand, so I can't really comment.
I wouldn't cry too much, because I know that you've got some buddies in that team as well, of which we're now going to talk about. Adam Eder,
yeah,
burst onto the scene in the last few months, Premier League restart, and I think a lot of Norwich fans have just been absolutely buzzing for him to just to play, like even start. And every time he comes on, his energy is excellent, his touch is brilliant. He's just got this aura about him, like he wants the ball and he's gonna do something with it. You played with him a lot.
a lot.
What do you rate? Where do you rate Adam Eder, and how far do you think he can go?
No, yeah, obviously he's a top player, isn't he? Strong, quick, and obviously can score goals as well, which you've seen loads of times for Ireland. Scored twice for Norwich, is it? If you include the penalty.
And the hat trick against Preston.
Oh, of course. Yeah, well, that says all you need to know. That 3 goals against Preston, they were quite something, weren't they? Yeah, that game. Obviously, that was a great game for Adam. He's not going to play out that every week, but that game just shows the Norwich fans what he's about, isn't it? I think the composure for the long distance one, and then the one where he burst through the middle and showed his strength and his power or whatever to score that goal with a clinical finish as well. No, he's obviously a top talent. You never know where players are going to go, because obviously Max has done unbelievably, but I never thought he'd be getting linked with Barcelona. Do you know what I mean? So you never know where players will end up. But he's got all the attributes, as you say, to go wherever he wants to. I remember one of my best memories of Adam on a football pitch would probably be we played an FA Youth Cup game. Actually, 2 to be fair. One was an FA Youth Cup game against Barnsley, where I think we were 1-1 or 0-0 or something, and he's someone's played in the ball and he's got a defender on his shoulder and he's just literally just shrugged the defender off, like pushed him away, and the defender's fallen to the ground. And Adam's gone through and scored, which obviously just shows like his strength and whatnot. And also as a goal he scored against Man City when we drew 1-1 with them, I think, where he scored and nicked the ball off someone on the halfway line, dribbled and scored or whatever. So yeah, he's a top player. Where he'll end up, it's always hard to tell, but he's a good player.
Yeah, he is a baller. And speaking of ballers, let's talk about your buddy Danny Alvarez, aka Max Alvarez. Come on,
I wonder where you're going there. I was thinking Danny Alvarez, he's not my buddy.
You're like, oh, blimey, brilliant. And on a serious note, let's really talk about Max, because I know that you're good friends with him, and you obviously grew up with him. I think it's fair to say, in terms of your time at Norwich, particularly the 23s. What's he like as a bloke, and how impressed with him have you been?
Yeah, definitely. It's what he's done is unbelievable, really, isn't it? You can't fault. There's literally no fault for him at all. So I first met Matt. So obviously I played against Max a few times when I was younger. He used to be at Luton, and then I played against him a few times, whatever. I played against him when he was at Tottenham as well. the first time I ever met Max properly, like to speak to him, whatever, was under 14 pre-season. So he came in like on trial or whatever at under 14s, and funny, he'd actually forgotten his boots. So I don't know if he'll even remember this story, but I lent him my boots on that day.
Well, you're the reason then, Alfie. Maybe you're the reason, because if he hadn't brought his boots, then he wouldn't have had the chance.
So he was wearing some old school Copperman Dials that I gave him from the bottom of my bag. So he trained there. Then we did a gym session afterwards, and then I didn't see him again for 2 years. Obviously, I don't know why that was. Whether he had got a better offer or whether Norwich had said no at that point. But I then didn't see him for 2 years again until under 16s, where he then came back. And I think he might have been after Christmas or something. Came back and was then on trial again. So I had like 3 or 4 weeks or whatever. And he was actually playing centre mid to start with. So it was actually me. Fun.
I never knew that.
Yeah. When he first came on, when he was at Tottenham and stuff, he was played midfield against him. And when he came back to Norwich, he came on trial as a centre midfielder, like a number 10 almost. So it was me, my mate Bilal, and Max used to play in midfield for a few games until I don't know who it was, which manager, which coach decided. They said, Max, we want to play you at right back, and I don't know who that was, but well done. They've made Norwich a lot of money. So he then went right back for a few games on trial, and then he obviously played well, or better than he was in playing in midfield anyway. Played well at right back. So they said, yeah, we want to sign you. So he then signed like under 16s or whatever. We played towards the end of under 16s, played like the Hospital Cup match, which against Ipswich, played in that, and was fully converted to a right back for the under 18 season coming up. Brilliant. So I don't know who made that decision in the academy coaching ranks, but it was the right decision, clearly, wasn't it?
We'll ask him. We'll get out of him. I'll drop him a line. Alfie, speaking of Ipswich, of course, he made his debut against Ipswich away. A hell of a game to make your debut. Were you like messaging before that when he knew, or like what was the situation with that? Do you remember that time?
Yeah. So I remember, because sometimes they do like some team shape before, and Max, and like I didn't see it myself, but I'd got wind that people were like, I think Max might be playing, and we're all thinking, Ipswich away, Max is going to make his debut. Obviously, like buzzing for him, like what a game, like firstly to make your debut full stop, like amazing, and then for it to be against Ipswich away, it's like, is that the right decision? Like, it's a lot of pressure, isn't there? And he said, I remember him telling me how nervous he was when he first went out there, but he's done himself well, didn't he? And then the rest is history, like quite literally. Yeah,
100%. I mean, I just remember that day. He's just so confident. Alfie, let's go back to you now. I'm going to ask you a bit of a hard question, I think. Yeah. Do you think you were given the fair opportunity to succeed at Norwich?
Yeah, well, it's a tough question, isn't it? Because obviously, like for myself personally, I have one opinion, but then like it's hard to judge yourself sometimes, because obviously I think I'm the best in the world. You know what I mean? No, obviously not. But no, everyone obviously, football's a game of opinions, isn't it? And everyone has a different opinion on each player, right from Ronaldo, Messi to me or somebody else. You know what I mean? Everybody's got a decision. Everyone's got an opinion on different players. Obviously, I would have loved to get the opportunity to train a bit more with the first team or play games for the first team, whatever. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen like that in the end. Yeah, it's a tough one, because obviously I've been there for so long. So many people would say that I've had all the opportunity in the world to prove myself, which, like, I guess in a way I have, because if I'd done as well as some other boys, then maybe I would be sitting here now, like after playing 40 games or whatever for Norwich. So I think it's a hard question, because obviously I have had opportunity because I've been in the building, but at the same time, you always want more opportunity. You always want more chances to show the gaffer what you can do. Do you know what I mean? So I'm obviously not upset, but disappointed that I never quite got there. But that's life sometimes, and you got to then move on and take the next step, and hopefully I'll be back up there one day in the future. But
of course you will. Yes. And Alfie, fair play, mate. Fair play. I'm going to say that. Fair play. I applaud you for that, because it's really honest for you to say, well, actually, I was there for a while. So you could argue that you did have ample chances. So I've got a lot of respect for you to actually admit that, because I think footballers might sometimes have, as you've quite rightly analysed, that ego of, well, come on, I'm better than everyone else. So fair play to you, mate.
Yeah, I think, just on that, I think obviously, like, you've got to be confident within yourself. So I'm confident that if I was given the chance, that I would have been able to do a good job or whatever. But obviously, for one reason or another, whether it's because they had a lot of midfielders already, or whether it's because they just didn't quite see, they personally didn't think I was good enough. I don't know what the reason is, but for one reason or another, it didn't happen, which obviously I'm disappointed about. But you've got to go on again, haven't you? There's nothing I can do about it now. I've worked hard and I've done it. Like, I know I've done everything that I could in the last 8 years or whatever. I've worked hard as hard as anyone. So obviously I haven't got the reward for it quite yet, but you never know. Hopefully one day I'll get the reward that I feel I deserve.
I can't wait to see it. Talk it into existence. For
yeah, exactly.
Another tough question, and I don't want to make you feel miserable, but I feel like I have to a little bit, mate. I have to pry.
Yeah.
You're obviously in the building, as you've said, for 12 years. That's a long time. That's a long time. And then if you don't mind, just talk me through the emotion of finding out that it wasn't going to be at Norwich at this time. Like, what was that like when you left the club? That must have been just really difficult. Again, as a Norwich fan, must have been so difficult.
Yeah. Obviously, it's tough, isn't it? Like, my dreams to play for Norwich, and then all of a sudden I got someone telling me that's not going to happen. Obviously, it's not like you can't sugarcoat it. It's a horrible feeling, isn't it? Like, your dream has just been almost torn up in front of you. So there's no nice way to be told, in a way. The way I was told was slightly odd. It was more informal than I was expecting, but I was kind of left when I was told. I was kind of left. Have I just been told that I'm getting released or not? I had to go clarify with Clive, the player care manager. So it's a bit of an odd way to find out, but nonetheless, I did find out, and obviously, like, you go home and like, it's hard. It's like, there's no denying the fact that it's hard mentally. Like, football's a tough game. Obviously, when it's going well, football's the best thing in the world. But when it's not going well, as I'm sure there's lots of people that have had bad experiences will tell you, it can be tough. But I think I would like to think I'm quite mentally strong, and I'd like to think that's one of my strengths in a way. So I think I've dealt with it as best as I could. There's obviously times where you're thinking, like, why did it have to happen like that, sort of thing? But it's you can't change it. It's someone's opinion, and that's how it's going to be, especially when it's the people at the top. When they decide something, there's no going back. So obviously, when I found out it was tough, I carried on training there and playing for Kings Lynn, because obviously I wasn't, just because some boys leave straight away, but for me, I was never really interested in that, because I was on loan at Kings Lynn. So I wanted to carry on training day in, day out, because there's no point. Obviously, you might feel a bit of annoyance or whatever that some players are there next year and you're not. But there's no point not turning up to training, and no point leaving, because that's valuable time which you can be using the facilities to get better almost. So so I still rocked up to training every day, and David Wright, the 23s coach, always got me in sessions whenever, because obviously my schedule of Kings Lynn was a bit different to the 23 schedule. So, but he always, whenever I wanted to train, he always got me involved in the session. So I can thank him for that. But no, obviously, in a way, the COVID situation probably made it easier, because
no one else was there anyway.
because I never had a last day. So obviously I had a last day, but I never had a last day which I knew was going to be my last day. So so my last day at Norwich was actually like a Friday before a game for me on Saturday. So I trained the Friday, and it was expecting to then be in the next Monday. But obviously then I got the message like Colney's shut down, and then it just got delayed. So I never actually had a last day, which in a way I'm actually quite happy about, because I don't know how I would have reacted. I'm sure I would have been fine, but like, saying goodbye to everyone's never nice, is it, in life, when you got to say goodbye to people? So I'm sure I would have been fine, but in a way it was quite a nice relief that I didn't have to do the whole I'm going now, goodbye sort of thing.
Yeah, mate. I honestly tip my hat to you, mate. I applaud, and then what a fantastic attitude to have with regards to continuing your you're training to develop yourself in, of course, some fantastic facilities.
Exactly.
You touched on it a little bit there, Alfie. I want to talk about, just before we go to Kings Lynn, I want to talk about Neil Adams and the role he plays. How does that work? Because he's the loan manager, but just forgive me for being a bit ignorant here. What's that like? What sort of relationship did you have with Neil Adams when you were at Kings Lynn on loan? How did that work?
So with Neil Adams, he asked you to after each game to call him. Doesn't say much, just call him, just say like, he just asks you how it went, sort of thing, say how you went. It's not a big chat, 2 minutes or whatever. So I guess just to keep on top of you. He came and watched me twice, I think, obviously, which is just like keep tabs on it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't have, once you're there, once you're in the building, it doesn't have loads of involvement. Obviously, you can go and, like, his door's open, you can go see him whenever you want. So I went and saw him a few times about it. But yeah, once you're there, I guess he just keeps tabs on you and feeds back. I'm guessing is I don't know how much contact he has with the managers, because that's not to do with me. Whoever he speaks to managers or not, I'm not too sure. But with me personally, yeah, he's just always open to talk if you need it. But yeah, there's not loads of involvement. I wouldn't say for me personally. I don't know about other people, but for me personally, I wouldn't say there was lots and lots of involvement, because like once you're there, you're sorted, sort of thing. But obviously, I still chatted to him once a week, just gave him the lowdown on what was happening, and he's like gave any advice or anything that I should be doing, he would then let me know, sort of thing. So no, it is helpful, definitely.
It's interesting insight. Thank you for sharing. And now let's go to Kings Lynn. How's it been, and how's it been so far, your journey there? I know it's probably been really weird because of obviously everything that's happened and happening right now. And I really want to understand from you, what's it like working under Cully, who of course was a proper superstar at Norwich? What's it been like at Kings Lynn for you so far?
Yeah, so obviously I was there on loan last year. I signed literally signed my loan forms or whatever, like the day before the first game of the season. So I came in a bit late. Well, obviously I was there for the first game, but I hadn't done like the pre-season or anything. I hadn't been training with them, so came in a bit late. So obviously had the first few games on the bench or whatever, then got myself in the team. And no, it was excellent, to be fair. Cully's he's a top manager. Obviously you don't get double back-to-back promotion or whatever without being a top manager, and obviously all the stuff that he's done in Norwich and Villa and stuff. So he knows what he's a very tactical manager, I think it would be the way to describe him. He knows his stuff, and he brings his little whiteboard with him on the bench, where when he's making subs or whatever, he starts writing, like trying to do the opposition formation and showing where the space is and whatnot. So no, he's and he wasn't scared to like change formation halfway through a half or whatever. So he's a very tactical manager. Obviously he's worked unbelievably, and yeah, last year of Kings Lynn, the season was quite unbelievable, to be fair, because I think obviously I wasn't there the season before, but I think the boys, and when I got there, we were tipped to go down almost in the betting lists or whatever, but ended up winning the league. So quite the opposite. So yeah, unbelievable achievement from everyone at Kings Lynn.
You hear quite a lot. Well, you hear rumours of this, and I really want to get your opinion on it. We had Gary Carter on our podcast, and now I'm listening to what you're saying about Cully as well. And I remember Gary saying, look, I actually think, me and Cully did a lot for the Paul Lambert era. Yeah, I think Paul Lambert deserves to get a lot of credit. But you speak there of Cully's tactical nuances and details and everything that he does. You could imagine that he was just like he was at Kings Lynn at Norwich, right?
Well, yeah, obviously I don't know what he was like at Norwich, because I was a lot younger at that point. I was probably only like 10, 12, whatever.
Yeah, true.
But at Kings Lynn, no, obviously very, very like tactical, thinking a lot about the game and the formations and like what we need to do and to like beat them or whatever. So no, definitely got a very good football brain, and is the brain behind the Kings Lynn revolution or whatever you want to call it. Going up double promotion, and obviously now got a big season in the Conference Prem.
Yeah, no, and absolutely, and good luck to you, matey. And a lighter question now. We've gone quite deep, but I'm going to lighten the tone a little bit now. I know you are still young, but what advice would you give to really young aspiring footballers? Because there'll be them watching now. There'll be plenty of people watching this now going, God, I wish I could even just have a little taste of what Alfie's had. What are the key things that you would advise that they do?
The key things. So the first one for me, without a doubt, is enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, then I can't personally. Obviously, there's things you've got to do in life, but if you don't enjoy things, then personally, I don't see why you should be doing it. I think there's maybe a quote from Pelé or something that if you don't love what you do, then if you don't love football, then you're not gonna make it, sort of thing. It's obviously worded a bit better than that, but that was the crux of the that was the crux of the quote. So yeah, firstly, definitely just enjoy your football. As honestly, for me, there's nothing better. I've obviously had the experience of full-time football and now dropping out of it. Well, even when you're there, the amount of people that you can see taking it for granted, playing football every day is ridiculous, really. And now that I've dropped out of it, I mean, I enjoyed it every day, but now I'm just thinking, oh, I wish I could be back playing full-time football. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah, honestly, just enjoy playing your football. And then the other thing I'd say is just like work hard and just play as much as possible. Like there used to be days when nobody's watching, I'm just at home on my own, but I'd go in the garden, get a ball and start kicking it against the wall, or I've got like some little things in my garden for football, like a little bounce ball and stuff. So even from young, I just used to always go out and just play football. I think I used to go out with my dad and mum and just like kick balls with my weaker foot and stuff. It's just there's no secret to it. The two things that you got to do are practice and enjoy it. And I think they're the two key points that I'd say to anyone, because obviously it's quite cliche, but practice makes perfect. The more you practice, the better you get or anything. So there's no secret, really.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Alfie, like almost the last question now.
Yeah, nice.
But I want you to answer it truthfully. Like, give me the full truth, okay?
Well, you're looking to stitch me up or something.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I want, like, what is your ambition for the future? Like, where do you want to go, and also how far do you think you can go?
Yeah, so obviously that's a tough question. Where I want to go is I want to go to Barcelona, like Max had the opportunity or whatever.
With Max in midfield.
So no secret there. Like, I want to play at the highest level possible. Whether that's possible, obviously, is a different story. But no, for me, obviously, I've just dropped out of Norwich. It's the first like major disappointment I've had or whatever. So it's obviously tough to take, but I think I'm past that now, and I appreciate that. I'm gonna have to do it the hard way now, in a way, because I'm not gonna be able to go straight through the ranks at Norwich and then whatever. Yeah. We have to do it the hard way. But for me personally, I've still not given up on the dream of being a professional footballer or whatever. Obviously, it's a game of opinions. For Norwich, I wasn't the right person, but you never know. A couple of years' time, I might be the right person for somebody else. So right now, I've not given up on the dream of football. Obviously, I'm not deluded. I'm not going to pursue being a footballer forever if it doesn't work out. You know what I mean? It comes a time where you've got to look at other things. Like I've been doing some education stuff over lockdown, so I'm still like planning for other things. But for me right now, my main 100% focus is definitely still football. I want to be a footballer. Hopefully it happens, but if it does, then that's all I could ask for. Like, but if it doesn't, then at least I can know I've got no regrets, that I've given it the best go I possibly could, sort of thing. Yeah, it sounds a bit soppy or whatever. People are going to be thinking, "Oh, shut up," but nah.
No. And you know what, Alfie? You know what? I hope, right? Let's try and transport ourselves forwards now. The year is 2031, okay? And I hope someone clips this up and shows it when you've made it at the I blooming hope so. I want it more. I think it could happen, mate. I absolutely believe, and I'm sure lots of people will. And
yeah. Oh, sorry.
No.
Obviously, I was just going to say, like, within myself, I believe in myself, and I've seen players which are playing at high levels, Championship, even like some of the Prem that I've played against, and I would never say that I was far off it. So I definitely think it's fine margins. I appreciate I'm going to have to do it the hard way now, but hopefully it'll work out.
But people have done it the hard way. They have done it the hard way.
It is possible. Yeah. It's hard. It's the hard way for a reason, but it is possible.
We are all behind you, mate, and I'm sure every single Norwich fan that's watching and listening to this now will be like, "Come on, Alfie," and they'll be absolutely buzzing for you. And speaking of the Norwich fans, I know that there was only a bench warming moment for you, but have you got a message for the Norwich fans? Are you going to be back one day?
Am I going to be back one day? I'd love to be. Obviously, there's no denying that. If I am, then I'll be happy. But yeah, we'll see.
Good man. That's what I like to hear. Well, that's it. So, Alfie, thank you very much for your time, mate. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you for getting me on. Hopefully, it wasn't too boring for the podcast listeners.
Not at all, mate. I bet you we'll get loads of tweets from this. And everyone, make sure you go and follow Alfie on social media as well, because he's an absolute top man, real good guy. We are supportive of good humans here. And for everyone listening and watching right now, thank you so much. Don't forget, we are almost at 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. And if you are listening on iTunes right now, don't forget to give us a 5-star review. Don't you dare give us a 4-star. Thank you very much. Alfie, there's only one thing left to say. What's that?
On the ball, City.
Come on.